So this is our second session for today, and if you don't know me, if you haven't met me before, you saw a picture of me earlier. That's actually sort of what I look like. I told people before my last session with the COVID pandemic going on, I've kind of let things go. My hair is kind of wild, crazy, and I've got a nice beard and goatee. And so I'm not going to share that with you right now. I don't want to scare anyone away. I am looking forward to meeting some of you in person. Some of you that are on the call, I actually know, and appreciate you so much for coming here. Again, good day, welcome. I'm going to give a little self-introduction, and I've already said this. I've been around the Lawson Infor world for 24 years now, and technical. I'm 100% technical. I get a little bit of the application side because I have to, but mostly I'm a technical nerdy guy. In fact, I'll make a few comments through some of the slides that only the technical nerdy people will get. This session, and every time I start a big group meeting, whether it's on stage, whether it's something like this, which is you're not really here, I can't see any of you. So this is more like a recording where I think people are listening. I hope people are listening. And so I'm just going to talk through as though you're totally attentive. And as Emily said, for those who are putting questions in, will know you're attentive. And there are prizes that Bill Mitchell, our president, is planning on giving out. And so to give this disclaimer, I like to give every single time is I'm CEO of JK Seva, and I'm not here to represent JK Seva. Even though I'm the CEO and I do so much stuff here, that's not why I'm here. JK Seva is also a partner of Infor and have been for 24 years now, but we're not going to talk about that either. And I'm not here to represent Infor. And this is where it gets a little tricky. I'm here for you, the users. I'm here to tell you the facts, the hard truths. Myself and Beth, as she'll get into this here, we've been around this for a long time. The cloud, as it came into being with the Infor Lawson world, we were right on the forefront of that, knowing what's happening, and we've heard the good, the bad, the ugly, the excited, the depressed. We've heard it all. And so it's, what is that? One of the insurance commercials. I'm not going to say a name because I'm not promoting any of them, but it said, we know it all because we've seen it all, or something like that. So we've seen a lot of stuff, and we're happy to share that with you. But some of the things we're going to say are going to be controversial. I'm anticipating potentially getting a slap from Infor, maybe even get a slap from other people at JK Seva with some of the things I'm going to say. And so we're going to just give you the truth, the honest facts. This is a user group meeting. This is not a Lawson meeting. And this is not an Infor meeting. It's not a JK Seva meeting. This is for you, the users. And that's what you're going to get. Before I jump forward into the next slide, I'm going to let you know it's going to be both myself and Beth Wallace. Beth Wallace is our Director of Business Development. She's our salesperson. She deals with all of the contracts, the licensing, the direct contact with Infor when we're doing pricing on everything. She knows the products that are available and how they're used and why they're used and when they're used. And it's awesome that she is not technical. So as she gets into some of the stuff that's technically related, she's going to pass it back to me, I hope. Otherwise, she's going to struggle through it and then pass it off to me. And nothing against Beth at all. She's amazing. And she knows so much stuff that I haven't even a clue about. So it's going to be a lot of fun here with this. So I'm going to do my best not to offend anyone, but you never know what's going to happen. So moving to the next slide, I'm going to talk through some terminology. And so some of the terms that we have to work out here is really just making sure that we're all on the same page. And giving me just a second here to pull up that proper slide that I had that I wanted to go over. So hold please, I'm actually on a different screen. I was presenting and I didn't want that on my screen. So technical difficulties for the technical guy, please hold. And almost there. My notes are on a different screen. I would ask Beth to interject here, but I don't really want her to jump in quite yet. And here we go. So first of all, I want to talk about the first term that is called the cloud. And so what is actually the cloud? Well, we're going to mention the cloud. And so we're going to be referring to the cloud as the Infor cloud, and this is the software as a service presented by Infor. And this is not anything outside of that. There are other vendors that do the same. You can have the smaller accounting packages like the QuickBooks Online. That is a SaaS product. One of the products that's tied in with the Infor products for BSI Tax Factory, which there are a few sessions on, they have a SaaS version of it, and so that is in their cloud. The cloud we mentioned here is Infor's cloud, and so that is their cloud solution for presenting their products as a service. Now, a few years back, Infor decided to start rebranding their products, calling them Cloud Suite. That does not mean that it is required to be in a cloud. That is the name of the product. When you talk about Cloud Suite Financials, Cloud Suite HCM, any of the products that have the name Cloud Suite in them, that doesn't mean it is required to be in the cloud. It's just a name. It's a cool name, and it's trademarked by Infor, but it's just a name, right? You want to make sure that's clear. Now, going back to the Infor cloud itself, there are multiple versions of that, multiple flavors of it. So you've got your single tenant and you've got your multi-tenant. So you've heard these terms all bouncing around. The multi-tenant means there are multiple clients accessing the same software at the same time on the same hardware. And so that's a way to spread out the cost a little bit of the hardware and of pushing it all out. It presents its own struggles from time to time, as we'll get into. But then you jump over to the single tenant, which costs quite a bit more. You've got your own dedicated everything in the software as a service, the Infor cloud. It's yours. You've got your own server. You've got your own applications. Nobody else is sharing it with you. And so a lot of different things can happen security-wise with that, with firewalls, with opening up ports, closing them down, stuff like that, differently than will happen with multi-tenant. And then you have the hybrid. So both of these, in some cases, need to work together in order to tie applications that are on-prem with the applications that are in the cloud. And so they've been over the years as they found out that certain things don't work quite as well as they'd like them to. In the multi-tenant, they had to then pull in some single tenant elements of that in order to create this hybrid to properly talk to all of the different places in the interweb, I'll call it, that need to be talked to, including your internal networks and their network, and it's just really tricky to make sure everything's secure. So the next, actually, I already mentioned on-prem. These are in different order. So we talked about on-prem or on-premises, and so what this means is that you're in control of the product that you purchased from Infor. So whether this on-prem solution is actually a piece of hardware sitting in your data center, sitting in the corner of the CIO's office or whatever it's running on, whether it's in Amazon Web Services on a cloud type server, whether it's Google, Azure, whether it's hosted by a third party. So whether sitting on for example, we're a hosting provider. We have servers in 2 different data centers in the country, and we own the hardware, we manage it, we take care of all of the security pieces of that, with the firewalls, with everything, and we have a place where the Infor Lawson products can sit and run, and this is a hosted environment. All right. I'm sorry, I'm not jumping to that yet. This is an on-prem type product, but on a server that may not be actually in the data center, actually sitting in the office of the owner of the software. So that being said, jumping through to hosted. Infor actually hosts software for people. They actually have a hosting service where you can actually, instead of a software as a service, a cloud type thing, they can actually host your system there in on premises with them, where the hardware is sitting with them, or they're managing that piece of it. There are other third-party hosts like Velocity. I'll mention them. We do this service with JK Seva. Some of these vendors actually do a software as a service where they're licensing the product to you. We're not doing that. We just happen to be one that can do the managed services and the hosting. That being said, the hosting of your on-prem owned software can also be a hybrid solution with the Infor Cloud. So you can have stuff on-prem or hosted, which the on-prem and the hosted, and if you've got a perpetual license that is a license owned by you, you can also have a SaaS subscription with the Infor Cloud, and those can talk to each other. And I'm going to try to make this very fast because I'm going to take up all of Beth's time if I don't. And then you run into one of the other pieces is managed services. So as we learned with the COVID pandemic that hit us back in the beginning of the year, everyone went home. Offices were empty in most cases, and so how do you actually run everything? You had to figure out how to do it from remote, and some companies had to be laying people off, and they had to figure out how do we actually run our loss and Infor systems if we don't have any people. And so we provide the managed services. There are other companies that provide managed services. And those are managed services of both the hardware, the operating system, the software, in some cases in working even with the Infor Cloud, where we're managing how that interaction is happening. So there are many aspects of managed services. Please talk to us about this. This is a huge thing that's happening right now, and we're doing a lot of managed services. And again, exciting times. Finally, I'm going to talk about licensing. So Beth's going to get more to this because I really don't have much of a clue, except the notes I put here that Beth gave me. So a perpetual license, as it's called, is one where you bought the software from Infor or Lawson, however long ago it was. I don't think it was ever called something before Lawson, but maybe 20 years ago you bought a license, and you've been paying an annual maintenance for that license since you purchased it. And that has been upgraded from version 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 to 10, and now going in through to 11. And so that's your license that you're paying a maintenance fee on for the product that you're using, that Lawson created, that Infor created, that Infor purchased, or Lawson purchased from someone. And now it's a perpetual license that just goes on and on as long as you decide to keep your maintenance up. The other side of it, and again, Beth is going to get more into this, is your software as a service license, or I'll call it that. It's the Infor Cloud subscription. You pay a startup fee. Here's how we get everything going. And then you pay a monthly subscription fee to use that software. And so all of that being said, I've used up almost all of Beth's time. And please, if you're entering questions, I haven't seen any of them, type them in because I'm talking fast. I hope you're listening fast. I learned in my last session that I ran out of time. So I want to make sure we got plenty of time for this. How does that sound? Beth, can I pass it over to you?
Sure, Todd. Thanks so much. Well, just kind of segueing a little bit into more what I'm going to be talking about, I just wanted to mention to you that the way I look at these licenses is you're leasing. If you're doing SaaS, if you're on the Infor Cloud, it's a leasing situation. And if you have a perpetual, you own. So you can do whatever you want with your software, and you pay one time. And because you have your annual maintenance, you get all your updates. But if there's a new release that comes out, you don't pay for that software because you own it forever in perpetuity. So if you want to take your version 10 and go to version 11, but you just don't want to run it in the Infor Cloud, you can do that. You can run it in the Infor Cloud, but when you do go to the Infor Cloud, it's software as a service, and then you become a leasing customer, if you will.